So getting into our flavor profile here for the middle third, Brian. As far as the intensity goes, I've got a very, very rich flavor coming out of my cigars. The flavor profile that I'm picking up off of the tongue is cream cedar. It's like a very creamy cedar. Um, Still have that white pepper, very distant in the background. The hazelnut has really picked up. It's very, very nutty here. Um, Not really dry from that wood. It's more of that creaminess that's in there. And then it kind of seems like there's something else hiding in the background, like a coffee bean or an espresso. And maybe I'm just getting too close here to that final third, and then those flavors are starting to come through. But the richness of flavor here, I can really taste the hazelnut. I can really taste the cream and the cedar. Not super dry or anything. A 9 out of 10 here for my intensity.
I have a 7. It's very heavy on the cedar with a bit of walnut in there. It's pretty creamy too. Just sticking with the 7.
I'm at a 7 as well for intensity because all the notes that I've gotten have kind of settled down a little bit. They're
Yeah,
not huge, kicking me in the face, even off the retro hail. Now I've
just people
gotten more,
about.
so when we get to complexity, I've definitely gotten a few more notes, which I'm liking. But
Mhm.
as far as just intensity, it's settled down quite a bit.
So getting into the enjoyability here, um, I think this third is more enjoyable than the previous third for me, but not a whole lot of evolution that went into both thirds. Would have liked that to make it just a little bit more enjoyable for me, but I still like these flavors, and I'm still not. I'm okay with having this and not the real elaborate evolution throughout the cigar. But just with that, that knocks it for me. I like something a little bit more elaborate, kind of getting that three-course meal throughout the cigar. So enjoyability here an 8. Really, it's an 8.4 ish, but an 8 out of 10 here for me.
Yeah, I have a 9. It's stayed the same for me. It's very enjoyable, very mild. It's not overpowering the palate. Very
I
smooth.
got an 8 out of 10 for me enjoyability. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. It has actually changed for me. I'm
Yeah.
definitely getting on that retro hill. Definitely turned a little bit more floral, even though there's more
Mm,
subtle flavors. I got a hit of floral notes,
Okay.
almost. I'm stealing Chris's term here, vegetal. Okay,
vegetal. Right.
vegetal, like a vegetable, like a
Mm,
dry, not too sweet, not like beans or like carbohydrate. The starchy stuff. No,
Yeah.
more of a floral note, which is enjoyable but on its own. But the fact that it changed and brought new attention to a different flavor, I enjoy quite a bit. So that's going to keep me right there at an 8.
gotcha. As far as the complexity go, I know you guys have all said that you've added more flavors. I added that cream in here, but other than that, not a whole lot for me as far as the change. The cedar does become more balanced here. And I think the flavors themselves also become more balanced in this second third. Maybe it's because they're not just super rich or overpowering. But a 8 out of 10 here for me on that complexity. Connor.
I'm going with a 9 out of 10 with the complexity. It really turned over nice for me.
I'm at an 8. I think I was super low before, right? I was like a 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I'm because I'm raising it up. I know that I'm raising it up to an 8 because I'm still only getting maybe an additional two or so notes, but it's two new flavor notes. And that change, I don't think it's terribly drastic change from where it was. I didn't go from an espresso cocoa leather to a creamy, nutty, cashew, sugary thing.
Right.
It's still on the same plane, just a different note now, something new. So I'm going to score it a little higher for that.
Gotcha. As far as the finish goes, uh, it's actually a little less rich on my finish here in this third. Still the same kind of length, just really not lasting the whole length in between puffs. Still kind of good though, as far as the length, and still good as far as the richness. So a 6 out of 10 here. That really drops it from my previous score. I believe it was a 8 out of 10 there. But yeah, again, it's just not as rich as it was before.
Yeah, I'm actually bumping mine up to a 10 here. I have a nice cream finish that's really taking over the palate.
See, and I'm at a 5 because it's shortened up so much. It's
Yeah.
good when I'm tasting, but the finish cuts out very, very early for me.
Then we get into the burn performance here.
Just real quick though, that
Yeah.
is interesting that, it's the same cigar,
Completely
right?
different. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but we all have completely different feels there.
Right.
Well, like we talked about before, I mean, all of these they might be subjective, like, hey, this is what we're looking for, but at the end of the day, it's still, I'm sorry, objective, as in this is what we're looking for, but at the end of the day, it's still subjective. It's still our score that we're putting out there. It's still the way that you're tasting it. Um, so yeah, we're all three going to taste the cigar different. I think
Yep.
we all picked up different flavor notes as well. So just that's nice to know that everybody's going to enjoy their cigar a different
Different way.
way. And that also is nice to know about the BurnRate Scorecard, is because people enjoy their cigars completely different. We always have completely different scores. I think with our old scoring system, there were times where me and you were very close or even the same number, and we had
Catch each other
completely different
things.
experiences. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the reasons, so like with burn rate, we have right now we've created I think 2 seasons. The first season was mostly me with the guest, and we had this one guest, Chris Kelly, who's now my permanent co-host in the second season, and he him and I are so close as far as our score compared to everybody else because his and I palate, even though we might get different stuff, he actually gets, I think he gets more than I do. I'll be honest with you. He's been doing this a lot longer. He has a much more sensitive palate than I do. But we're both going in the same direction as far as what we're expecting and what we're experiencing. And because we're so much closer, just him and I, we had a great chemistry on it. And that's why we did that, where we kept him for the season 2, because he was also a lot more fun to talk to.
Yeah.
But I didn't appreciate all my guests. All my guests were amazing in the first season. I love talking to every single one of them. I could bore you to tears talking about cigars, right? And most of my guests are the same way. Just for whatever reason, Chris and I got along and got together really well. We had good chemistry, and his palate is very refined, very much developed for somebody in the industry. I mean, it should be for as long as he's been in the industry. But yeah.
Little knock at Chris's age here.
Well, yeah. I mean, everybody's older than us, but
yeah, us young guys.
The average rate or the average age for a cigar smoker is 37 or 38 or something like that. I think the average, right?
I could see that.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a luxury. I mean, it's not something that you're going to be able to eat or anything, especially for us younger guys. Yeah, it's tougher to spend $10-20 on a cigar when you can spend $10-20 at the bar trying to pick up a girl. That's maybe more important to you.
Yeah, and like you were saying earlier, unless you had like a father in your case or an uncle in your case, somebody in the family who introduced you to it, it's not necessarily something young fellows get into without getting into that community, right? Getting around people that do it.
Right, absolutely. Burn performance here. My draw is still dead nuts perfect for me. I really like the looser draw here for that 6x52. So this, for me, the draw here is perfect. It's a 10 out of 10.
Same. Nothing to knock on the draw.
Draws at 9. It's a hair off loose, but I'm enjoying it.
Consistency here. My char line is a lot better here on this cigar. Show Brian as well.
Yeah, yours is like mine right now.
Yeah, looks really good. Just slightly wavy. But, other than that, really, really good performance throughout this third. A 9 out of 10 here for that consistency.
I'm going with a 7, just slightly off.
Yeah. You rate the cigar you got in your hand, bud.
Yep.
You have no choice there. I'm at a 9 out of 10 for the same reason. You can see we have very similar burn lines. Yeah. I can only ask that to be just a little bit more razor sharp than that, right?
Right. Yeah. Not asking a whole lot, and it's not affecting our experience at all. Just that slightly waviness, but it is there, so we got to rate it. Combustion here, really, it looks phenomenal behind that. As far as the feel, getting up close to it, still very, very cool. I'm actually, my other finger is on the char line, and it's not burning, so really phenomenal combustion here. 10 out of 10 here for me.
I can actually touch the burn line as well. 10 out of 10.
8 out of 10. I'm a little deeper than I want. I want to be a little closer to that burn line there. It's just ever so deeper for me. So not quite a 9. I'm going to keep it at an 8.
My ash structure has gotten a lot better, although it did fall off again here in the second third. The actual structure itself looks a lot better. Although I'm getting that flaky kind of like hay bale look where it's line, 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 line. Brian, show you. But yeah, so just with that, with the little lines in there. Other than that, no real flakiness off of the ash. It's very solid and uniform. So a 9 out of 10 here for the ash.
I have to be honest with this one. That middle third was right where the wrapper was a little messed up, so I have to drop it to a 2. It was flaky, it was falling off, it was peeling, but it's improving here in this final third. So
yeah, getting past that
Yeah.
cut or that break.
I'm at an 8, and there's very little flakiness, as you can see, hopefully. But I
Yeah.
do have that one hole right there
Yeah.
I
where
do see that. Yep.
there's a line, there's a little bit of a run there, and that's what's keeping it from a higher score for me.
Makes sense.
Color wise, I've only got that and then 2 other spots that are inconsistent. Everything else is
good.
inconsistent. So this is also an 8 as far as the ash color for me.
Okay. Ash color
Okay.
8. As far as me, or my score goes here, I just have a little bit of black peeking through, kind of like marbling. So a 9 out of 10. Otherwise, color very, very good here. It's actually even a shade whiter than it was before. Just looks fantastic here throughout. Very, very even. Just a little bit of that marbling. 9 out of 10.
I mean, again, I didn't have much ash to grade it on here, so what was showing, it was improving, but I'm gonna go with a 4. I just didn't have much ash.
Yeah, and I'm sure the wrapper looking black.
Exactly.
Burning
The
on top
wrapper
of
was
that.
burning uneven.
Does
There were
look good.
parts
Yeah.
where the wrapper wasn't burned at all. So 4 out of 10 there.
Gotcha. Getting into the smoke assessment here, my resting smoke has not changed. It's still very, very, very good, coming very much a blue hue off of that char line, and only a little coming out of the head shortly after we take our draws. So a 9 out of 10 here for me on that resting smoke. Connor?
Getting back to that construction issue I had, 4 out of 10. It was all over the place.
I've got just a hint of gray mixed in with my blue, so I'm gonna keep it at an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
But otherwise, it's piping off of that foot, so it's good.
Drawing smoke, blowing big clouds over here. Very white smoke coming out as well. Just looks fantastic. And then also, I'm just getting really nice big mouthfuls of smoke. For me, it could be just a little bit more velvety or thicker as far as that smoke goes, but really very enjoyable here. A 9 out of 10.
10 out of 10 for me. I have nothing to knock on the drawing smoke at all.
Drawing smoke's a little thinner for me, a little gray, so I'm at a 7.
Okay.
Mouthfeel goes here for me. It's weird that kind of the finish has died off or become worse here in the middle third. And well, my richness of flavor has peaked up just a little bit, but the mouthfeel, I'm now kind of getting what Brian talked about before, getting a little bit too much on the upper part of my mouth, not enough coating the sides. It was perfect before in that first third, not as perfect here, but nothing coarse, very even flavors throughout. An 8 out of 10 here for the mouthfeel.
I actually have an 8 as well. Mine was slightly bitter there in the second third.
Okay.
I'm at an 8, no bitterness or anything, but same as before, just the sides aren't really there. Everything else is being activated.
As far as the temperature goes, really nothing to knock here. Again, like Brian said, 6x52, not going to burn real hot until we really get to that final third. But nothing to knock. It's not hot at all. No little spikes in heat. So a 10 out of 10 here for my temperature.
10 out of 10 as well.
I'm actually at a 6. So, and I think I might just be a little closer to the end than you guys. I might be just chiefing this over here a little bit too much. But the ember, like before when we were messing with the burn rate, the consistency, or the combustion, I should say, the ember was a lot lower than it was before. And I think something in there is maybe going in a little bit, or it's favoring one end, and that heat's coming through a little bit easier. Not a lot to where it's completely burning out my palate, but it's affecting the temperature for sure.
Makes sense.
Got you.
As far as the aroma goes, I'm still getting that fantastic aroma. I still don't know exactly what the scent is, but it is filling up the room rather nicely here. It is a little bit lighter though than I would expect. I think it was actually a little bit heavier in the first third. It's dissipating rather quickly. So just a slight knock here for that, a 9 out of 10 just because of the dissipation, but otherwise very, very enjoyable in the room.
And I actually have started to pick up that room aroma. I'm getting really nutty flavor in the room aroma, or nutty smell,
like
rather.
Roasted nuts. Roasted there's something
like roasted chestnut almost. 7 out of 10.
Interesting.
I'm at an 8 out of 10. I'm still getting just really, I have to waft the aroma towards me, but it is very pleasurable.
Yeah. So an 8.32 here for my middle third, Connor.
8.3 even.
Wow, that's pretty
We're
close.
Pretty close to each other.
And then we're going to put Bryan's up now. We don't really know if it's close to us or not, but there you go. Okay, so Bryan, one thing that I've noticed, I guess this is before we're getting into the final third, but one thing I've noticed recently is just how old a lot of these cigar blenders are, or at least how old they get. I mean, you would think for how much, and I kind of have to beat around the bush here because we are going to put this on YouTube, but how much, how bad cigars are talked about or how they're kind of put into a corner, right? Compared to other nicotine products. It's just interesting to me that these guys are living very long, full lives with no health issues of the, smoking variety.
Right.
If that makes sense. I mean, just legislation. Are they just is this just blowing smoke? We're in the lounges all the time.
It is very well known and very obvious to anybody who's paying any kind of attention that it is near political suicide to support tobacco products, period. Because the second anybody who doesn't know anything about anything when it comes to cigars, they just tobacco, they think cancer. And that's it. Even though I think it's been very, very long since they've done an actual study geared specifically towards cigar smokers and pipe tobacco smokers versus non-smokers and cigarette smokers and other nicotine products, other tobacco products. But the last time they did, there was to my understanding, the pipe smokers and cigar smokers actually live longer on average than non-smokers. So now that was a while ago, right? It's a very old study, but I think because there was no real evidence or not even any close evidence to suggest that cigars or pipe tobacco geared towards any kind of any cancer outside of mouth cancer, but really the only reason for the oral cancer was also linked to poor oral hygiene. So you still didn't have like a connector there, right? So I think because there wasn't much controversy there, that people just stopped studying it. But it's very healthy and very interesting, and you can get a lot of stuff going on especially if you're against tobacco products. It's very easy and very exciting to study cigarettes and nicotine patches and nicotine and dip, because there's a whole other risk there. First of all, you're injecting into lungs, right? And if you have dip in your mouth, I don't care how good your oral hygiene is. It don't matter if it's right there, right? So that's a lot easier to start linking towards health issues. It's not as easy to do that with cigars and pipe, which is why me personally, I think they kind of stopped looking at it. And it's a lot easier to just throw it in with all tobacco products. But I think here recently, wasn't there legislation that was there was some kind of legislation that was going to raise some kind of taxes on nicotine products or tobacco products, and the only thing that was exempt was cigars.
Interesting.
Premium cigars, premium hand-rolled cigars, right? Which now I guess we also have a definition for, right?
Yeah.
I heard somewhere that they were trying to define premium cigars as anything that was $12 or more.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that idea died very, very fast for very obvious reasons. Well, that's that Black and Milds and Dutchmans, they're just going to make theirs $12 or more, and they're exempt from that, right? So it's long filler, hand rolled cigars are premium cigar.
That makes more sense. That's a better
Yeah.
definition.
So now we actually have, and I think that's going to help the industry a lot. We actually have a definition for these products because you ever seen? I think in Canada and the Netherlands they have no advertising. Like they have to have the plain bands.
Canada.
Well,
Right.
they even put like, I mean, it's just kind of disgusting to even look at the box because they put like lung cancer on the box of cigars.
Well, Netherlands did it, and I'm pretty sure Canada did it. And you know why they did that? It's based on a U.S. CDC study that showed that more children under the age minors were buying, especially, I think it was like, it said something like 13, 14, 15-year-olds were buying cigars more than any other demographic. Now, you and I hear that and we think, well, that don't make one lick of sense, first of all. I go to different cigar shops in my area. I've never seen a 15-year-old in there. If he was there with his dad and he was waiting outside. You know what I mean? So how is that possible? Well, it's because Black and Milds, Dutchmans, what are they called? I don't even know what these things are called, but those
cigarillos.
Well, they're considered cigars by definition of the CDC, right?
Yeah.
In that study. So yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Now you and I know they're not smoking cigars, they're not smoking the tobacco that's in there.
Right.
But it don't matter. So it's easy to throw and lump cigars into that mix. It's a lot harder to pay attention to the details of what actually happens.
Yeah.
Right. No, definitely makes sense there. Yeah, it's just something like food for thought. It's just crazy how these blenders that are smoking 7 to 10 cigars a day are just almost pinnacle of health. I mean, they look fantastic, most of them.
Even the older man from JC Newman, he lived a very long, healthy life.
Yeah.
He came up to mind because I was reading their page last night, but it's just, yeah, I don't think it's as bad as they make it sound.
The oldest cigar smoker, citizen, right? The oldest cigar smoker on record, he lived to 112 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
He smoked like 12 a day.
Jeez.
Reminds me of the Bernie Mac episode where his doctor tells him he has high blood pressure, so he can't eat any more red meat or cigars.
Yeah.
But that's his reasoning for smoking more cigars because they de-stress him and they actually make him
level you out.
his blood pressure. Which is true. It's very relaxing. Not only are we getting the effect of you're taking a deep breath in, you're blowing it out, especially in between our puffs here. We're really enjoying that, and it's very relaxing for the heart as well.
It doesn't go to the lungs either.
No, it doesn't go through the lungs, right? But our deep breaths, kind of in between our puffs, it's hard to not just kind of breathe deep and relax. Right. And I think that just really helps for the relaxation factor of the cigar. Obviously, the nicotine and everything else helps.
Yeah.
One thing that I heard here recently, Bryan, and I don't know what you do. My thing, if I'm doing like multiple cigars reviewing in a day, I like to just have water and time in between my cigars. That way my palate's kind of refreshed, and then I'm not adding anything else. Now, I heard Nicholas Perdomo III, he said what he does and what a lot of those Nicaraguan blenders do is they actually have milk. Now helps them settle their stomachs. They're dealing with a lot harsher cigars and they're blending. So, there could be some pretty nasty flavors sometimes. So, having that to help settle the stomach there as well is a good thing. But he said that it's the ultimate palate cleanser. I don't know. Is there anything that you use to cleanse your palate?
I haven't tried milk, but it kind of makes sense with the dairy and the coating of your palate. That's what it does, right? So that I could see that. That definitely makes sense. I haven't tried milk. I'm very purposeful. If I am going to review a cigar, right, and I'm going to put it out here like you guys and I are doing, I might have a coffee, but I make sure I have it like an hour or so before, and otherwise I'll just drink water. I know I have one buddy that drinks soda water because he feels like it kind of cleans his tongue. You know what I mean? Whatever you feel like gets you the most flavor. For me, it's just water. And as long as I didn't eat or drink anything within the half hour or so before I do it. And that now, if I'm just trying to enjoy it, then it can be very, very fun to start pairing cigars with some. I mean, espresso goes with almost every Maduro cigar out there. beautifully, almost, right?
Right.
So that's something that you can enhance the experience, but you are naturally going to be taking focus away from the cigar itself.
So one of our things on Fridays, we're trying to do a pairing Friday, and I'm using Cigar TV's AI tools to help me craft the perfect pairing.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so that's Connor's Friday thing, ultimate pairing.
Ultimate pairing Friday.
My thought on is always, if you know the cigar that you're going after, if you know what the profile is, you can either stack or balance. If you know it's nutty and creamy butter, you can stack those flavors, something that reminds you of that on top of it, or you go the completely opposite direction, and vice versa. If it's it's going to be a lot of leather and cocoa and dark chocolate on this, maybe you have something that goes a little bit drier on your palate, something a little bit cleaner.
We're actually trying something extremely different too with that pairing Fridays. I also mixed in a book review. We're trying to pair the tobacco and the cigar with like the type of book that you're reading. Because you go into lounges, you see people reading. A lot of people read at home on their porch and have a cigar. So,
well, nicotine stimulates
go well.
So nonfiction really helps with that.
Yep. And I do read almost entirely nonfiction. So
just to show everybody, I am going to be touching this up. Charline is getting very, very canoed here. So that will go into my score, but just wanted to put it on camera and let you know that I am touching this up.
I'm getting nice and down to the nubs here.
Yeah.
I had to relight it because I was trying not to smoke it as fast. So I kind of let it out, but that is my fault.
Well, that's good. I'm actually into my final third as well. Connor, you're also in your final third. I know you have a time stop here, so let's get into the final third while we still got you. Would you like to lead us off there?
Yeah, absolutely. I have about a 6 at intensity here. It's just not a whole lot going on for me in that second third. Do you want me to just run through the whole flavor profile real quick?
We got 20 minutes.
Okay.
We'll do it.
What time is it? I don't have the clock around me.
It is 2:40.
Yeah. Okay.
So as far as my intensity score goes here, I actually picked up some flavors. Well, I guess we'll come into that in the complexity, but I got some black pepper here, the addition of black pepper, but also the flavors are kind of changing in the flavor profile as far as what the main flavors are. That pepper's really coming out for me. Now, it might have just been because of the relight or this canoe that we've got going on here, but my balance and the richness of flavor is just off. It's just not the same that I had in the first and middle third. As far as the richness of flavor goes here, I got a 7 out of 10. Still have the cedar notes in here, the cream, very peppery. I really like that peppery note. That'll come into my enjoyability score here in a minute. But as far as the intensity, it is just a 6 out of 10 there.
Intensity for me is, I'm actually going to keep it at a 6 too, because flavors are still there. They're just becoming more and more muted.
Yeah.
Go back to enjoyability. I love the addition of the black pepper here in the final third, but I just have not had a whole lot of evolution throughout the cigar.
Same.
Flavor evolution as in this flavor is becoming more prominent or less prominent, yes, but not a real whole lot of addition of flavors or the subtraction of them. So I'm just going to stick here at a 7 out of 10 for the enjoyability. Still really enjoy the flavors that are coming out of here. Really like that black pepper addition here, but it's just not as rich as I would like it to be. And then, as I said, the evolution's just not there.
We actually have the same score, 7 there. It really didn't turn over for me there. That nuttiness has stayed pretty prominent throughout that final third.
For me, things are starting to go away and muting kind of disappearing. So fewer and fewer notes are coming through, especially on the retro hill. I'm at a 6.
Yeah, and then I guess that brings me right to the complexity there. Like you said, it's fewer notes are coming through. Seems like they're not in sync here. Like we talked about the orchestra before. It just seems like the notes are way off here, at least for me. And it definitely has to do with something about my relight and everything. I got here at a 5 out of 10 for that complexity.
I have a 6. It didn't turn over enough for me. But
Yeah.
it's still there. It's balanced.
Yeah, I'm at a 6 as well. Same reason.
It's very well balanced.
Yeah. The finish, however, has gotten a little bit more rich. I'm picking up that black pepper that's really lasting on the tongue here for me. But it's still just not real long in length.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit more rich than it was in that previous third. Just Has not changed though in length, so a 7 out of 10 here for that finish.
Dropping mine 2 points from a 10 to an 8. It's not sticking around at all.
Yeah, I'm at a 5 for the finish. The finish is pretty much completely gone. As soon as I blow the smoke out, it's gone.
Yeah. Draw here. My draw is actually tightened up here, and it might have to do again with that relight, that touch up that we did. Just wasn't pulling the right amount of tobacco. So now I'm getting a little bit too much, it seems like, as far as the smoke and everything. My draw is an 8 out of 10 here, just slightly tight.
It's 10 out of 10 for the draw. Nothing to knock there. Good clouds.
Yeah, mine's a 10 out of 10 because it was been loose this entire time. Now, tightened up just perfect for me.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah. But wait.
What?
No.
No, we're good.
Oh, okay. My baby's screaming.
Oh, you're good.
I was like, I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, you're good. We're authentic on this channel. We're not super professional. Consistency here. I did touch this up. You saw the big canoe really of the cigar there. Other than that, though, since the touch up, it has been very, very even here. I mean, just slightly wavy, but the touch up really hurt it here. A 5 out of 10 here.
I have a 6. Mine was pretty uneven there, but it has kind of gotten itself a lot more even there. But I can also get close to it, so yours is nice.
Yeah, I'm at a 9.
Yeah,
looks good. Combustion. Well, with the way that mine was canoeing, clearly it was not cherrying right in the middle. But now that we have relit it, it looks very, very even there. Maybe just slightly too much burn on the outside. So well, with the after the touch up, a 6 out of 10 here.
I'm actually going up with an 8. I can still touch that burn line, and it's only slightly off for me. It evened itself out without having to touch it up.
I'm at an 8. It's just lower than I wanted to be, but it's burning right.
Yep.
Ash structure here. Well, currently mine looks wild just because it fell off before relighting it here. But from looking at the ash that is on the ground, it looks pretty solid. Not a whole lot of flakiness to it. Obviously, we did have the issue because of the relight, so it doesn't look really great there. 6 out of 10 here for the ash structure.
Slightly better, 7 out of 10. It's real flaky. It's real flaky for me.
I'm at an 8. It's nice and tight. Color, however, is like a 4 because it's just inconsistent now.
Yeah. Mine's actually becoming almost, well, if you're not looking at the inside of it, the outside, that little flake there, it's looking pretty good, but the stuff on the ground is quite marbled, or like we say, salt and peppered. So a 7 out of 10 here for me. Mine ash color.
Mine is also a 7. It's really evened itself out, and it's actually pretty grayish white.
Resting smoke.
Oh, wait, did we get a Bryan?
Yeah, he gave us his ash color.
Sorry.
Did you, Bryan? Yeah, you gave us your score for the ash color.
Yes, I did 4, I think it was.
Got the resting smoke here on the cigar. Looks really good. There's just a little bit too much gray in there for me, but it is coming off of that char line. It is coming off really nicely. I don't know why I'm showing it to that camera because that camera died.
Yeah.
Resting
8 out of 10 here for that resting smoke.
Resting smoke, I have none. 2.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, you're good.
Resting smoke, I'm giving it a 2. I'm not really getting any resting smoke at all.
I'm not. Mine's all gray. It's very, very light, so I'm at a 3.
Drawing smoke. I'm still getting a good amount of drawing smoke out of the cigar. Just a lot lighter than it has been throughout the whole cigar. An 8 out of 10 here for that.
8 out of 10 as well. Not a whole lot to knock there. It's just a little coarse for me.
Guys, I really hate to do this. I'm so sorry, but my wife needs to leave and my baby's in there by himself.
Oh, you're good.
I'm so sorry to.
No, you're fine.
You're fine.
But I've had a lot of fun. Just for score wise, what else did we miss?
Run us through your smoke assessment real quick. Resting smoke, drawing smoke, mouthfeel, temperature, and aroma.
Resting smoke, I think, is a 4.
Okay.
Drawing smoke had dissipated, so that's also a 4.
Okay.
Then mouthfeel, it got hot, so and a little bitter, but I was at the very end of it.
Yeah.
So Mouthfeel, I'm at like a 5. Temperature is at a 5 as well. And then aroma, there was none. So it's a 1.
Okay.
Got you.
Awesome. And
Sorry to do that to you guys.
no, you're
okay.
fine. As far as
Yeah.
just strength goes, on a 0 to 10 scale, what strength did you pick up in the cigar?
That was like a 5 for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, there's one thing that we don't do is because it's so subjective of how the nicotine affects me and how it can affect you. And I don't want the score of I don't want a full body just because it's a higher score in strength.
Mhm.
To have a higher score of a mild,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But if I was to score the strength, 5 for me.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Bryan, for being on the show.
Thanks so much.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. We should do this again. We'll do like a part 2 or something.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun. I appreciate you being on the show and taking this time out of your day for us. We're going to take a quick break here and reset on our cameras, and we'll be right back to you. Thank you, Bryan.
Boys,
Bryan, thank you so much.
See you guys.
Hey guys, bringing you back in here. Bryan had to step off from the show. Thank you, Bryan. Right now, we will put up Bryan's final third score. So that is his final third score. Now we're going to get into the last 3 items here of the smoke assessment, and then into our final third score, and then obviously everything else in between. As far as the mouthfeel goes here, I have a 7 out of 10. Actually, it's trending more towards a 5, but I'm getting a lot closer here towards the nub, and it's becoming a little bit more coarse. And just really just coating my tongue, Connor, nothing else.
Yeah.
Just the tongue only. So actually, you know what? I'm going to rescore that as a 5, just because really in this last inch, it has become more of a 5.
I have to go with the 6 here as well. For me, there just wasn't a lot of leftover flavor. It was bland. It got bland at the end. Yeah.
Temperature wise, my temperature is actually really good for how close I am to this nub. Very, very, very enjoyable. In fact, I'm holding right up into the char line. Maybe just have to inch it back just a bit. So a 9 out of 10 here for that temperature. Really enjoyable for a final third. Usually get a little bit of heat. I'm not getting any heat, and then I'm getting almost all the way up to that char line.
Mine's a 10 out of 10. I thought that was perfect and a very good highlight throughout this entire cigar. The temperature remained balanced and ideal throughout.
Yeah. Here for the aroma, my aroma kind of stayed consistent there with my previous third. Actually, maybe dips down here a little bit. It is an 8 out of 10. It's kind of dissipating quickly, I should say. Like kind of Bryan said, now I have to kind of waft a little bit towards me. Not that I really need to waft anything towards me, but it is dissipating just in the room itself pretty fast. Still very enjoyable scent though. Still, I think it's that roasted nut like you talked about earlier.
Yeah, almost like that roasted chestnut. Mm-hmm. Mine disappeared again on me. I had to drop it back down to a 3. I just wasn't really getting it.
Interesting. So here for my final third score, I have a 6.61, which is the lowest it's been by a good bit. I had to double check and make sure that that is accurate, and it is. We do have all the numbers filled in there. So a 6.61 here for the final third. Connor, your final third.
Slightly higher, 7.21.
And then as far as the strength goes of the cigar, Bryan had this, well, we just saw Bryan. Bryan has this rated as a 5 out of 10, so right there on the medium. I actually have this a little bit lower. I have got this at a 4 out of 10. I think it's more of like a 4.2, 4.3,
okay.
Round down to a 4.
I actually had this at a 3.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, I didn't think this was,
Yeah. Now, yours burned a little different than ours and stuff too.
Yeah.
Not that that really affects the strength, but obviously pretty subjective score here for the strength as well. So really, I think all of us are kind of sitting there in that mild medium range. Well, at least me and you are. Bryan is more into the medium as far as the cigar. Now, Bryan did smoke his down to the nub and told us his score right there at the nub, and says they normally don't do that. I've been keeping track along the way, just in my head, because I know we get here, for our scoring wise, we get here at this point. So a 4 out of 10 here for me. As far as the cigar goes as a whole, just running you through my thirds, I got a 8.12 for the first third, 8.32 for the middle third, and then wow, it just drops here in the final third to a 6.61.
So why do you think that was?
Well, I did have the touch up, so that was a big thing because it really hurts the burn performance. If I'm looking at the scorecards, the burn performance is really hurt here in the final third because of that. Otherwise, the complexity really just wasn't there in the final third.
It got really bland there at the end.
Right. I think that's really just the big knocks there. And then obviously enjoyability was affected by all of those factors: the relight, the coarseness of flavor because of the relight, and because it was just such a long canoe. It just played into that factor here for the final third for me.
Running through my scores, 7.65 for the first third. It does come up to a 8.3 in the second third, and then back down to a 7.21 in the final third. I do think that it just got bland for me.
Yeah.
And some construction issues really peaked their heads. And again, I had a totally different wrapper experience than Brian and Steve had, so that affected it. A 7.72 for my overall score. I think that's kind of slightly lower than I thought this was going to score. You know, we've had good experiences with West Tampa.
That's crazy because that's slightly higher than mine.
Yeah.
My score here is a 7.68 for this cigar.
What is your craftsmanship score is higher? Oh no, it's lower.
No, it must be lower. Yeah, 1.45. So that must be the major difference there in ours. Now we're gonna put Brian's scores up there right now, or at least his scorecard. You can check that out right now on screen.
And all Brian content is on West Tampa Tobacconist on Instagram.
No, he's the Tampa Tobacconist. Tampa Tobacconist.
My bad. Sorry, Ryan.
We're all about the West Tampa cigar right now. Your mind's on that.
And Cigar TV, you can check out his content there. They're doing some awesome stuff over there, so give them a look.
Yeah, this cigar was actually quite enjoyable. For me to score it a little bit less than you was kind of surprising to me. I think we saw it mainly in the craftsmanship score.
I think I enjoyed it. I had more turnover between the first, second, and third cigars. It did get bland at the end, but I think I had more enjoyability out of the complexity and intensity and complexity there.
Yeah, and my final third takes just a major hit here too, which really affected the cigar score. I had to really double take it a couple times just because it's so different than the other ones, and I feel like it didn't change up that much. But when looking at the numbers, it did.
It makes sense.
And like on our old scorecard, I feel like it wouldn't have taken as big of a hit. And it's just good that we can get into those nitty-gritty details and get down to a proper score. At least for our scoring, or what we like as the consumer. So thank you for watching today. This is the end of our very special review with the Tampa Tobacconist, Brian, over there at Cigar TV. You can check out their links right here on screen. We'll see you next time here on the Smoke Shack. Please like, subscribe, dislike if you don't like it. Please dislike as well. Subscribe, comment. Every little thing helps us out, so go ahead and hit those buttons. We'll see you again next time here on the Smoke Shack.